On October 14th, 2025, 4:13 a.m., the woods outside Kharkiv suddenly came alive. A Russian convoy of 8 heavy trucks rolled through the trees carrying 36 tons of fuel and ammunition, enough to last 3 days of bombardment. Russia had Tor-M2 and Pantsir air defense systems monitoring the route, and Ka-52 Alligator attack helicopters patrolling overhead. Ukraine had both eyes and hands. Ukrainian intelligence fed Maxar satellite imagery and live data from Bayraktar TB2 drones to a command node. From an M113 hidden inside the Ukrainian lines, an operator launched a swarm of 25 FPV attack drones to monitor the convoy, while a HIMARS battery waited behind the ridge, ready to attack if the windows opened. The operation was simple in theory, but brutal in practice. Ukrainian drones buzz like a swarm of wasps, Russian Ka-52s lock onto heat targets, Tor crews struggle to distinguish real threats from noise. A single decision from a single operator can tear the night sky apart. 8 vehicles in a forest, 7 minutes, and systems from 3 countries colliding in a dark area. How would you like to see this play out? Sign up now and let me know in the comments what year you were born and what aspect of history you think technology will change. At 4:13 a.m., the forest near Kharkiv stirs like something alive. Ukraine watches from the dark, while Russia moves through the mist. In that dim light, a convoy of 8 heavy trucks crawls along the dirt road, 4 of them loaded with fuel and shells enough to power a frontline barrage for 72 hours. It is more than metal and fuel, it is momentum. Volodymyr Zelensky and Vladimir Putin are not names in a speech tonight. They are the 2 ends of a drawn bow, and this convoy is the arrow between them. Above it, the Bayraktar TB2 drones whisper like restless ghosts. Beyond the ridge, a HIMARS launcher waits silent as a held breath. In the distance, a Ka-52 Alligator slices through the air, its rotors flashing in the moonlight. On the ground, Russian Tor crews scan their screens, hoping to see nothing and praying that nothing sees them. The scene feels like a poker game, where the chips are artillery rounds and the prize is a city's heartbeat. 20 eyes in the sky, 8 trucks on the ground, 1 moment to decide. If you were watching this unfold, would you breathe or hold your breath? Do you think technology makes war smarter or just colder? Tell me what you feel right now in the comments. At 4:27 a.m. above the clouds over eastern Ukraine, the war looks like a computer simulation running in real time. Every pixel matters. From 300 miles up, a Maxar satellite catches the faint shimmer of a Russian fuel convoy near Kharkiv. Within 90 seconds, that image is sent across Starlink beams to a command post where analysts line it up with drone footage from a Bayraktar TB2 circling 10,000 feet above the trees. Inside a dim room, a single officer watches 20 screens at once. Call signs flicker like fireflies. Each truck becomes a glowing heartbeat on a digital map. The numbers feel unreal. 8 vehicles, 12 soldiers, 36 tons of fuel and ammunition, enough to keep a battery of howitzers firing for 3 straight days. Outside, the forest is silent, but on the monitors, the air hums with data. It is intelligence warfare, a chess match where the pawns are satellites and the board is alive. Somewhere, President Zelensky gets the update while Russian commanders believe they are invisible. They are not. If you could see every move of your opponent, would you strike first or wait for the perfect mistake? What do you think matters more now, information or courage? Tell me your thoughts below. At 4:45 a.m., and the forest finally exhales. The quiet breaks like glass. From 5 miles away, inside a modified M113 armored carrier, a Ukrainian operator steadies his hands on the console. 25 FPV drones hum inside the bay, their tiny propellers whispering like a nest of angry hornets. Each one carries a 2-pound-shaped charge warhead, small enough to fit in your hand, but powerful enough to punch through 4 inches of steel. When he flips the switch, the air fills with motion. The drones don't fly in formation, they scatter like startled birds weaving through trees and fog at 60 miles an hour. This is the Phantom Swarm tactic, a new kind of choreography that confuses the Tor-M2 missile system waiting on the Russian side of the clearing. The radar sees chaos, a cloud of moving dots, no logic, no pattern. The machine was built to hunt jets, not ghosts. Above them, a Ka-52 alligator cuts across the dawn, its rotors flashing like a knife in the dark. The Russian crew spots movement and calls it in. Orders ripple down the line. Within seconds, a Pantsir S-1 locks its radar on the swarm, ready to fire. But what it sees is noise, a sky full of butterflies. 2 missiles streak out anyway, vanishing into the fog. Both explode harmlessly 100 meters from the drones. Inside the M113, the operator watches numbers scroll across his screen. 25 active, then 23, then 21. His voice stays calm, but his pulse does not. "We're in," he says. The drones have crossed the Russian line. Each drone carries an onboard camera streaming through Starlink, a live mosaic of war. The operator tilts his head, and the view changes. The convoy of 8 trucks moving like slow prey through a maze of pine trees. The image shakes slightly, the way a heart trembles before a decision. The system guiding these drones is not just GPS, it's layered AI from both Ukrainian and American engineers. It learns on the fly, literally comparing tree patterns, heat signatures, and movement vectors to guess which truck carries fuel, which one carries ammunition. It's the difference between guessing and knowing. On the Russian side, soldiers step out of their vehicles, scanning the sky. They hear the hum before they see it, that rising electric buzz like a swarm of cicadas on a summer night. Then one of them shouts. The first drone dives. The camera cuts to static. The operator whispers, "Impact confirmed." A fireball blooms in the trees, bright enough to turn night into morning for one terrible second. He doesn't stop to watch. The remaining 20 drones split into smaller groups, 5 in each cluster, circling like hawks above a field of panic. The Tor system struggles to recalibrate. Its software expects formation, altitude, logic. Instead, it finds madness. The screen in the Russian command post floods with false targets until the operators start shutting sensors off to save the processors from overload. On the Ukrainian console, the digital map changes color. Every truck glows a different shade depending on what the onboard AI reads: fuel, ammo, command. The operator highlights the command truck and marks it red. "That one breathes," he says quietly. 2 drones peel away and dive together. The feed cuts out in a flash of white. When the picture returns, the red mark is gone. For 90 seconds, the entire battle exists between screens and satellites, between heartbeat and algorithm. Soldiers on both sides look up and see only fragments of fire falling from the clouds. And yet, through all this noise, the silence inside the M113 feels deafening. The operator counts what remains. 15 drones. 10. 7. They are still flying, each one still hunting. The last image before the signal breaks shows 3 Russian trucks turning into the open road, headlights stabbing through smoke. The operator looks up at the clock. 4:49 a.m. 4 minutes since the first launch. 4 minutes that could rewrite a battlefield map. If you were sitting in that armored box watching through those cameras, would you feel like a god or a ghost? Would you trust the code to decide life and death? Or does this new kind of war feel more like a mirror showing us what we've become? Share what you think below. Is this the future or the point of no return? 4:52 a.m. and the sky above Kharkiv ignites. The first Ka-52 alligator swings low through the fog, its twin rotors thrumming like the heartbeat of a monster. Its thermal camera locks onto a faint heat signature deep in the forest, the hidden M113 command carrier. For the Russian pilot, the numbers on his display are cold facts: range 7 kilometers, speed 240 knots, lock confirmed. He squeezes the trigger, and a Viker missile leaps off the rail, glowing like a comet born to kill. Inside the M113, the Ukrainian operator feels the world tighten around him. His monitors flash red. The missile warning tone sounds not like a siren, but like a ticking clock counting down to 0. 20 seconds. 19. 18. The heat from the M113's own engine has betrayed its position like the smell of fear in the air. He hits a switch, and a canister launches with a hiss. A plume of vapor bursts into a cloud of brilliant white particles hotter than a bonfire. The Vickers Seeker locks onto the decoy in an instant and dives straight into it. The explosion lights up the forest, but the M113 survives untouched. Inside the cabin, every lung empties at once, but the reprieve lasts only seconds. The Ka-52 circles back, angry and blind. Its pilot fires a burst from the 30mm cannon sweeping the tree line. Each shell weighs nearly a pound. Trees splinter. The M113 shakes. Metal screams. Sparks rain across the control console. The operator keeps his voice steady even as the lights flicker. "We still have 10, he says, referring to the remaining FPV drones still airborne. Those drones are the only link left. 10 tiny machines scattered in the storm of fire, each transmitting a narrow band signal through Starlink. The Ka-52's radar tries to jam it, flooding the spectrum with noise, but the Ukrainians counter using a system nicknamed Echo Trap. It listens to the Russian frequencies, records the pulse, then sends it back with a delay so perfect that the enemy radar starts chasing its own tail. Imagine shouting into a canyon and hearing your own voice come back a heartbeat later again and again until you lose track of which one is real. That is what happens to the Ka-52's sensors. The helicopter suddenly sees threats everywhere and nowhere. On its display, the forest turns into a carnival of false targets. The Ukrainian operator sees the moment on his own screen when the Ka-52 begins to spiral off course. He launches one more drone fitted with an experimental payload, a directed electromagnetic pulse charge no larger than a football. The drone climbs at 60 miles per hour, heading straight into the sky like a moth drawn to a flame. From the helicopter cockpit, the pilot spots it at the last second, a flicker on the edge of vision. He dismisses it as debris. A heartbeat later, the drone detonates 30 meters away. The pulse slams through the air, silent but absolute. Every display in the Ka-52 cockpit erupts into static, then black. Engines still turn, but the brain dies. For 3 breathless seconds, the 12-ton machine becomes nothing but a falling shadow. The pilot regains partial control enough to pull out and retreat, limping back toward base, trailing smoke. The battle above the forest is suddenly still again. Inside the M113, the operator exhales. 9 drones remain. Their signals flicker on the map like candles in the wind. The convoy below is still moving slower now, weaving through burning wreckage. The Tor-M2 crews have stopped firing. They no longer trust what they see on their screens. For the first time since dawn, the Ukrainians hold every eye in the sky. Technology has turned from shield to sword and back again. The operator glances at the clock. 4:59 a.m. 7 minutes of chaos that may decide 70 hours of war. If you were in that seat, would you feel triumph or terror? Would you see this as brilliance or blasphemy? When machines start confusing each other, where does humanity fit in? Tell me what you think is scarier, the power we build or the control we lose. 5:10 a.m. and the forest near Kharkiv is no longer green, it is black and silver, a mosaic of twisted metal and smoking craters. The battle is over, but the echoes are only beginning. Satellite images from Maxar taken 6 hours later show 8 destroyed vehicles spread across a half-mile of road. 3 of them fuel trucks, 2 ammunition carriers, 1 command vehicle, all erased in less than 5 minutes. The math is brutal: 180 seconds of flight time against 48 hours of lost Russian firepower. For 72 hours after the strike, radio chatter across Belgorod falls silent. The Tor-M2 crews report system errors, the Ka-52 units grounded for inspection. Commanders in Moscow stare at static on their screens, unable to trust the numbers. What was once a well-oiled war machine now sputters like an engine choking on its own smoke. For Ukraine, the victory is not loud. It is a breath of time, a pause earned by precision. For Russia, it is a question mark written in fire. If you were watching from orbit, would you call this progress or madness? Do you think smarter weapons make us safer or just faster at destruction? Tell me your thoughts. Below, what does victory even mean when the sky itself is watching? War has always been about power, but what we just witnessed proves that in the 21st century, power no longer looks like tanks or missiles. It looks like information, precision, and timing. One drone operator sitting in a steel box can now shift the balance of a whole front line. One signal from a satellite can be worth more than 1,000 shells. The lesson here is not only about Ukraine or Russia, it is about how war itself has changed and what that means for all of us watching from the safety of a screen. Technology has given humans the ability to see farther, hit harder, and decide faster. But it also hides the faces behind the fire. The further we step into this new era, the easier it becomes to forget that behind every explosion, there are hearts, families, and futures burning away. Maybe that is the most haunting truth of all, that the smarter war gets, the less human it feels. For me, this story is not just about drones or missiles. It is about adaptation. It is about how courage and creativity can stand against overwhelming power, and how intelligence can rewrite the rules of survival. But it also reminds us that progress without empathy is just another weapon waiting to be used. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss the next story that changes how we see this war. And tell me in the comments, what year were you born? And what does this new kind of war look like to your generation?